G'day everyone, Duckville here. Welcome to a Zerg vs Terran Heart of the Swarm game here that I will bring to you today from a very rainy Melbourne here. It's incredible how long it has been raining for here today, considering it was 36 degrees on Monday or something like that. It was insane. Anyway, enough about me. Well, as I said, the date is the 4th of December 2013, so we are here in the end of the year, and as well, we've been continuing a little bit of a trend here. I honestly, I am not doing this on purpose, but we do have a, well, we would presume, I'm not saying it's going to be the truth, but we would presume that it is going to be a mech game down here in the bottom of Polar Knight as our Blue Terran player from Team ESC. It is Goody. He has been around for the longest of times and has the longest of locks still as well. If you're not sure who Goody is, go and check out his Wikipedia profile. Jump on his, I do believe that he has a stream, but does not stream very often, if at all. That's a good question, I didn't even think about it. But yeah, go and have a look. He actually recently, this morning, just posted a possible suggestion for changing mech versus Protoss to make it so that tanks do like double shots instead of single shots to Immortals, so that you can sort of blast away their armor a little bit, their shields a little bit better. His opponent to the top end of the map here as our Red Zerg player, just expanding down to his natural. It is Rainman, who we have seen previously, part of the Knights squad, if I remember that clan tag correctly. And we'll see how he goes. Of course, this is basically GM level on the EU server, so there should be some pretty high quality gaming here from both of these players. Just before we sort of get into the action, make sure you are jumping onto my Facebook page, facebook.com/duckfield.casting, where I will be posting all sorts of random stuff, things about, you know, anything relating to esports, but particularly favoring the work that I do, which is with StarCraft 2 and Dota 2. You can catch also if I'm going live on Twitch over at twitch.tv/duckfield. That's where I do a little bit of streaming. We do a bit of multi-gaming, all sorts of things like Dota 2, SC2, then we've got Natural Selection 2. Have you even been playing PlanetSide 2 lately? We've got all the 2s. That's how I'm rolling lately with the game selection. But actually, changing it slightly, I will be doing Skyrim. I'm starting a new character. I've never actually finished the game, so I'm going to start a new character and I'm going to stream and try and play it all the way through for once. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, enough of that. Looking at what Goody has been up to down on his side of the map, we do have a little bit of an old school build here from Goody. This is not what you normally see from Terran players. This is something which the Wings of Liberty players will be very familiar with. The one racks into the expansion, and a couple of Marines will pop out. You'll get a little bit of gas coming in after a little while. It's not straight away, so we won't have the gas for a Reaper or anything like that straight up. But what this build does give you is a nice expansion, nice and quickly. And then shortly after, you can start taking up with a factory that is just being plopped down right now by Goody. So this is as I said, this is a little bit more old school. Usually what we would see after this is a reactor get started. You can, there you go, you can go up to Banshees as well. Of course, with the recent, sort of semi-recent change to the Banshee cloak tech, the cloak Banshees have been making a small amount of a comeback. Not necessarily that they're being used constantly, but they are being used every now and then. Some Zerg players do have to figure out how they dealt with cloak Banshees back in Wings of Liberty. Of course, the very common kind of strategy that would come out of the Terrans in this kind of setup is you would go to Reactor Hellions, get some cloak Banshees out, maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 if you want to put the investment in there, and then you go up to go up to the Zerg and try and put a bit of the hurt in them. Throw the Banshees on the Queens. They can try and smash them down, and then of course the Hellions can go to work on drone lines and things like that. So we'll see if Goody is going to attempt something like that. Meanwhile, for Rainman, we've got the extra gases down at the natural coming up straight away. His Roach Warren has also already been started, and the hatchery is being built up. Why do we have 2 Roach Warrens here, Mr. Rainman? I'm a little bit curious about that. Is this... oh my, is he gonna do the Jaws build? The Jaws build is something that I have coined. You go like double Roach Warren and then go for speed and the burrowed movement straight away, and just try and Try and jaws your way into the Terran player as quickly as you can. We'll see what happens. I mean, in fact, wow, with Pneumatized Carapace getting started straight away. Alright, I think this is going to be a drop play. He did cancel that second Roach Warrior, thankfully. But I think, yeah, with 4 more Overlords on the way, we're going to bank up some supply here for Rainman, and I think he is going to go for a drop. Now, of course, Polar Night is an extremely large map, and there are a million ways inside. You could say it's almost infinite. And, you know, you can see, you can just come in from the back on top of the mineral line. If you can get over here, smash down some of those SCVs before they evacuate, that's quite nice. You can come in from this, oops, we can come in from this direction here and try and drop in on the production facilities. If you can get in here, try and take down the factories, their you know, their add-ons and that kind of stuff. That is also quite cool. Not to mention the simple fact that you could also come this way from the backside into the natural base, try and take out that kind of area there, or, you know, of course you guys already know there is also this way, but rarely ever in fact used. So we will have Rainman going for what is looking like a drop play, and yes it is with Ventral Sacks. We've also got a Nidus network. Wow, this guy is going to go crazy on this attack here. He's not really going to pull any punches at all. We can see the Roaches now coming out. Roach speed is on the way with the with that upgrade really helping them out when it comes to their movement and their mobility, especially when you get into a situation where you have to try and lock down a Terran when tanks get set up in these positions. You really want to be able to stop them as quickly as you can. So Goody now making his way across. He has seen that the Pneumatized Carapace for those Overlords is done, and he may have even seen some of these. Yeah, he's seen the Roaches. Now moving across, the Overlords are coming along as well. More Roaches are now on the way, as we can see the Overlords just starting to move into position. The Roaches and Lings at the front, not sure what their plan is, but they will need to hop on board the good ship Overlord and try and drop inside the main base. Here we go. In fact, wow, he almost did like a sliding maneuver to get those Roaches into position, but here we go. Dropping inside the main. We got the Roaches in there, doing some damage to the Hellions and the Hellbats, but it looks like some mines will be here to help out with getting rid of the Roaches, but unfortunately not enough, and no overseas here means that those mines will survive. A Nidus network has been dropped in here. The Banshee will come across and try and deal with some of this as well. Unfortunately, the Banshee fire is just so slow. And now we can see that units that are popping out of the production. This could be it for Goody. This could be it. I mean, he does need to find a way to deal with those Banshees, and I don't think it's going to happen. Very cleverly, Goody does dispose of the Nidus network, so the only way out is going to be back on the Overlord airways there. But, well, Goody, I mean, he's able to get another tank out. We'll slowly see the tanks dispose of all of these Roaches here. But, I mean, Rainman, how much damage has he done? He's killed off 5 workers. He still has no third base himself. He's just on the way to set that up right now. Overlords have been dying left, right, and center. And I would say Goody is actually, for the most part, he's done quite well. He has actually lost the armories. They're down the back here, so they are all cool. We've seen that almost no workers are going down. 5 workers for that kind of attack is not really what you want to have happen. And Goody, well, he's re-establishing himself here, setting up the turtle mech. As we can see with the wall at the front, we've got upgrades on the way. The Hellbats and the Banshees just finishing up the cleanup crew here. But well, for Rainman, he's down at 51 workers. It's not a terrible position to be in, but I mean, you really would have wanted to do a little bit more damage than that. But we can see that, as we said, those Vikings have done a good job cleaning up some of the Overlords, stopping the supply from jumping up there for Rainman. And he'll just now have to switch it over, and it looks like we will go to a Spire. Infestation Pit also on the way. Got to hit those injects there, Rainman. He will probably inject that in just a second here as he gets ready to beef up the worker count, I would assume. We've got 4 more on the way. We do have 6 mutas now being constructed though as well, so he's going to switch it into air. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I mean, the thing about Mutalist switches in mech is that they are insanely easy to deal with because of Thors, their splash damage on their Javelin missile launchers, and then also, like, once you start to move into Raven territory, PDD stops Mutalist shots, and then of course if you're lucky and get a good Hunter-Seeker missile, you can just annihilate mutas insanely quickly. So we'll see if Goody goes in that direction. Of course, that's the general sort of thing you want to be looking for in mech, is you want to head up towards the Ravens, get some Vikings out maybe as well to help protect the Ravens by disposing of things like Corruptors really quickly. Then you can make your choice. You can either stick with a sort of a tank Raven Viking based composition, which does really well against you your general kind of standard mixtures of roaches, hydras, lings, swarm hosts, those sorts of things. Or you can move up a little bit further towards Thors and get large amounts of Thors, which do, of course, heaps of damage to all sorts of units here. Wow, that Widowmine just in place there to get a shot off on those mutas, quite nicely done there. But there are, you know, a few different ways that you can go about getting to mech and getting to that end game composition of a really, really deadly mixture of ravens and their energy-based skills, which are really useful in the late game. Or you can, you know, you can also sort of augment that by getting battle cruisers out. They have the same sort of thing. You can go to Thors, which are just insanely beefy and strong. So there are all sorts of there are a few different ways of actually making it work, but we do see that Rainman has finally got his work account back up to 74 at the moment. Not too bad. He'll want to try and bring in as much gas as he can. I would love to see him try and take this back base here. I know I've spoken to some some high-level Zerg players and said, why does no one ever take this? You know, like at this sort of position, when you got 4 bases, you got a bunch of mutas out, you got some other random units out, it's not too hard to clear out the rocks and get rid of the ice that's here. That sounds like metal when it gets destroyed, just by the way, if anyone else has heard that and kind of been freaked out. But it's not too hard to sort of take this space, but anyway, I don't know. We'll see if that happens. Maybe Rainman will head down there and get that expansion set up. But as you can see for the moment, we got a lot of roaches and hydras out. It looks like we're getting the +2 missile attack started up, but we still don't actually have Carapace. We're still waiting on that to be upgraded here. Has not gone in that direction at all, but does have some Vipers. We'd love to see him adding in some Swarm Hosts here, just for a little bit of protection on the ground. What you want to do here, if you are the Zerg players, you want to be able to make sure that the Terran can't really move out, that they're sort of locked down on these bases. Of course, the added bonus, as I said, of this particular map is that you do have this backdoor expansion here, which can be utilized by Terran mech kind of play here, just simply because it's hidden away and it's hard to get to. So, like, I mean, it's not easy to sort of hold a Terran down on this map as opposed to a map like Star Station or something like that. But we can see that Goody does have a nice amount of protection out. We've got these Vikings with their +2 on their weapons. +1 on armor is also done. Hellbats are going to fall down here, unfortunately. No real protection against the Sky there. The mutas will take them out very easily, but the mutas are now going to be taken out themselves. Of course, going to work from distance, and then, of course, the Vikings getting hot and heavy right in the front. But Rainman, he's going to get hot and heavy himself with roaches and hydras now pushing forward. Some wonderful blinding cloud on the tanks and the Hellbats at the back, but the Vipers have now gone down, and this could spell the end of Rainman here, at least in this battle for the moment. He does have those, he does have the +2 weapons about to kick in. I think perhaps just a slight amount too early here for the Zerg player. He is going to have to back off though, with no real support from the Vipers or any kind of you know, perhaps even infestors to drop down some infested Terrans on top of tanks or anything like that. He's going to have a hard time pushing in these very vulnerable roaches and hydras. So he has to back off for now. We'll see him head back home and get started on a corrupt account of 12. And we do have the Greatest Spire on the way. So from what we've seen, if you want to see a really good, like the sort of general kind of way that you do want to be setting up your composition and your strategy in long-term Zerg versus Terran mech, you want to look to the game that's also here on the channel. It's the Walrus versus, oh god, I forgot the other guy's name. The Walrus versus, no, not that one. Sorry, there's a different one. Wait, no, I can't remember. My god, my brain is just completely faded. Sorry, guys. There's a really long, like an hour-long game that I just uploaded to the channel that you can go and have a look at to see a really good example of some high-level TvZ action. But as you can see, we have got Rainman moving up to the Broodlord tech. He will have that available to him. I really personally think that moving up to Vipers, Broodlords, Corruptors is pretty much the way to go. And what you do want to have, instead of these almost useless roaches and hydras on the ground, you want to have some swarm hosts here. What you want to do is well, something akin to what Rainman is setting up now. You want some static defense just sort of set up in an area like this. You want to have your swarm hosts also just variously positioned, position in here, just sending through the Locust, just trying to keep everything on the ground away. And then you want to have Corruptors, the Broodlords slowly moving through, and then of course Vipers to help out with Abducts on things like Ravens and Vikings as well. So that's kind of where you want to go. I mean, I'm not saying by any means that makes it easy, and the ZBT matchup, this particular version of ZBT matchup, is easier to do. But I think that's definitely on the right path to getting it all done. But Rainman has now been attacked on his right side base. He is actually going to take the hatchery down at the back. I'm actually quite impressed that finally someone has taken his base, but he will take a little bit of damage, loses a couple of drones here at this 4th base, but no real worries. He can resupply that quite quickly. The Corruptors are now coming out. We do have a large count of Broodlords right now. We've got a couple of upgrades that have about to finish up for them, or at least one of them will be. The Zerg Flyer attacks is on the way. I would love to see a second Spire as well, just to continue on with the Carapace upgrades. But speaking of Carapace, finally, ground level 1 at Carapace has been completed. Interestingly, not really going to be too helpful here, given that the main part of Rainman's army has now moved into the sky. But it's all good. The Stingrays will now move across. The Fever of Broodlords, as I like to call it. Collective noun for Stingrays, by the way, is a fever. And so I figure that works quite well with these Broodlords. But Goody, well, he's certainly feeling comfortable right now. 4th base is up, bringing in that very key extra gas that he really needs to move up his Raven count. We can see back at home he's got a total of 5 factories. This is what you'll normally see from a Mech Terran player, is just those 5 factories. 3-3 is on the way here for him, and we have started up the Ravens and also the Vikings. So Goody is now starting to move into that position where it gets to a really nice and comfortable point for a Mech Terran. When you've got these Ravens out, they can help out by blocking out Corruptor shots, by dropping a few point defense drones. It also stops the Spore Crawlers and also the Hydras as well. So this is a great way of being able to deal with the late game composition of a Zerg player. And as we can see, Rainman going to continue to push the creep forwards. I love his creep spread. He's just continually moving it about. He's taking another base down to the southern right hand side here as well. We're going to mix directional bearings there, but he is also getting Enduring Locusts. I do kind of feel like this is a little bit later on than needed, but he is also adding up the Queens. We've got a huge count of Queens out on the map right now, 8 Queens in fact, though it would be perhaps even nice to go a little bit higher just to add a couple more in, because what we're going to be dealing with is the issues of Vikings trying to take down Broodlords very quickly with various shots of their salvos, and then we also will have Corruptors taking a lot of shots as well. So you need a lot of transfuses to try and make this composition work, and it does take a decent amount of awareness as well, and sort of tactical positioning, so that you are prepared, so that we can see things like Broodlords just sort of moving in here, firing down on the tanks and the turrets there as well. The Vikings of Goody will be just positioning themselves so that they can fire back at the Broodlords, and then also perhaps drop down a few Hunter Seeker missiles. But Goody is not going to waste any time at all. He wants to grab a 5th base, and his Thor count is ridiculous right now. We have a lot of Thors for him. He's currently sitting up at 7 Thors. All the Vikings now going to town on the Broodlords and these Corruptors here. We're now going to get some transfusers coming in from the Queens. Very nicely done. Hunter Seekers are going to drop down on the Broodlords, and they just go splat. And most of those Broodlords have been torn apart, now down to a total of 3. Hunter Seeker missiles did come out and get a huge amount of damage done there, and that was quite a sizable victory there for Goody. And I think, yeah, Rainman has recognized that he is in a little bit of trouble now. Goody sending some Thors forward. They are going to go to work on this base over here. They do have their 3-3, so their hammer does 39 damage per attack, and this is just going to ravage this base across to the side here, possibly going to make his way even further up. Even some SCVs have made it to the other side. Turn those into Queens, because they have made it to the other side of the board. And are they going to march all the way back? Is this seriously happening? Well, that's, oh no, they're going to be stopped by some spine crawlers there. But that, well, I think given that Rainman is having a little bit of a hard time, we will see some mules drop down to try and protect the Thors. And now Rainman is going to try and come through and take them out, but I mean, the Thors do so much damage, they're so tanky, they're going to take out quite a lot of the Zerg Force before they do die off. The 2 Thors are staying alive. Where are the BGs? Because these guys will not die. And in fact, the mules have just done such a good his job. Look at this trade here. This Thor is still alive. 22 kills. He's now jumping up in health, and that is the buffest Thor ever. That guy does a lot of lifting at the gym. But that is going to be it here for this match between Goody and Rainman. Hope you enjoyed a little bit more Mech TvZ. Hopefully, we'll get some different replays coming up very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more